A Tipsy Nightmare Night, Part 2.
Okay guys, let's go to the dance floor. We need to groove out these drinks.
Izzy shouted, exiting her seat, along with Zip and Sunny. Pip didn't exit immediately, though. The girl stopped and waited for the other two. Pip now looked extremely concerned, putting a hoof up to Hitch's shoulder, getting him out of his rather tired-looking, staring off into space state.
Are you okay, sweetheart?
Hitch actually didn't know how to answer. He didn't want to scare her, so he decided to just stay calm and smile. I'm fine, babe. I'm just gonna hang back and just relax, okay? Pip's ears were now flat against her head.
Hitch?
He knew when she used his name in concern that it usually meant trouble.
Are you sure you're okay? Do you want me to stay with you?
Hitch shook his head. No, sweetheart, please, go have fun with our friends. I'm just a little bit tired is all. I'm just gonna relax and watch. Maybe I'll come out to the dance floor soon. Pip eventually nodded, getting out of her chair, being led by the three friends, occasionally looking back worryingly at Hitch, to which he smiled back to reassure her. As Hitch watched his mare friend dance with their friends, he reflected on his life. He didn't know if it was his extreme, borderline, blackout drunken state or not, but he thought about everything that has happened over the past few months, and how lucky he really was. He not only had his childhood friend at his side again in full confidence, but he also had his new friends, and now, Pegasus Lover. He had what he wanted in life. A good-paying dream job, a nice place to live, a pony he could see in his life forever, and a tight friend group that he could trust with anything. He also had his other friends, such as Sprout, who was doing very well at Canterlogic, now the chief marketing officer, and happy with his life. And lastly, he had his life as a whole together. He couldn't understand why it wasn't before Izzy showed up that day, but after all the dust settled, he felt like he had less anxiety. He had the feeling that everything was going to be okay. And with Pip by his side, he felt unstoppable. Hitch decided it was time to get to the dance floor, steadily getting out of his chair. Just before setting off, the stallion that was serving them came up to him. Sir, would you like something to cope with your dizziness? Hitch smiled, but politely declined by shaking his head. The stallion smiled. Let me know if you or your mare need anything. He responded with a wink. Hitch chuckled as he walked off to the dance floor. When Pip saw him, her mouth dropped into an open smile, excited to see her stallion finally join her. However, she could tell that he wasn't himself, and that he was disguising his current state from his slow walk. When he got to her, he bobbed his head, occasionally swaying his body to the beat. He was no dancer, he knew that, and also was slightly sober enough to know not to embarrass himself, even if Pip would love it. Compared to Pip, who was not only the most famous pony in Equestria, but also the #1 singer, and a great dancer at that, he knew he was no match. So with that, he kept his more diluted movements over him going wild. The party itself went to the top. The room itself was still captivating to Hitch. The way the crystal balls attached to the moving wires, still making the wave-like effect, amazed him. The technology from Bridalwood and Zephyr Heights combined really made the world seem over 100 years ahead of its time. He never thought he would have a phone with a full display, able to call any pony in the world at the touch of a few virtual buttons. He didn't even know what a phone was until going to Zephyr Heights to find Sunny, but here he was now, with one in his pocket, a laptop at home, and a desktop at his office. Nuts. He decided to look at his phone, as the display just passed 2 AM. Pip noticed Hitch's attention on his phone, noticing the time as well. Her sister, Sunny, and Izzy were still going just fine. Hitch seemed really tired. Her ears slightly drooped. She felt bad for her cult friend, seeing his very tired state. She smiled lightly, and turns to the other mares.
Girls, I'm gonna head out with Hitch. Puddin seems to be out of energy.
She said, getting into her Harley Quinn character, causing a laugh from the group. They nodded and waved goodbye. Pip went up to the stallion she had on target, hers, and lightly pushed him away from the dance floor. He tiredly looked at Pip surprised, eyes half-lidded, but didn't protest. When getting outside, Pip finally spoke.
Okay, sweetie, it's time for us to head home.
Hitch only nodded, causing Pip to laugh for a brief moment. As they walked, Pip noticed Hitch slightly leaning into her. She decided to lean back to give him the impression that she had him under control. She further did this by turning her head up to give his cheek a kiss. When they got to 10X Maritime Bay, Pip held up her phone to the scanner to open the sliding doors to the apartments, getting to the elevator with no trouble. When entering, Hitch sat down, his head slightly now lower than Pip's height. When the doors closed, it was just the two of them. Hitch looked at Pip. She simply blushed. She still sometimes got caught off guard by his looks. He simply smiled lightly and leaned up to her for a kiss, to which Pip gladly took, holding a hoof up to his cheek. The entire time the elevator made its ascent to the top floor, they were locked in a kiss. It wasn't aggressive, and there was no tongue. It was a simple make-out sesh. When the doors opened, the two heard a throat clearing. Pip's eyes show open and quickly pulled away from Hitch, an audible smooch coming from their separation. In front of them stood a slightly older stallion, smiling at them, waiting for them to exit, knowing what was going on. Pip's ears flattened, smiling in pure embarrassment. She quickly grabbed Hitch, getting them to their apartment. Pip eventually decided it was time to take it to the next level of their relationship, now living permanently with Hitch. Every now and then she would go and have a sleepover with the girls, but she now resided with Hitch. She offered to get his entire rent covered by the castle's budget, stating that the amount it had in reserves every year could build a new city. But Hitch declined, and he also declined Pip from paying for just about anything. He wouldn't dare let her pay for the apartments, or market runs, or anything of the sort. Once in a while, he would lose the fight at dinner or whenever they were on a date somewhere. While Hitch knew Pip could basically buy the entire 10X apartment, he felt that he should be the one to pay for things and provide. It's not that he didn't think Pip could live on her own, but it was just how he was raised. Pip again held her phone up to the door's new electronic lock, and the door clicked open, giving access to the modern ambient lit room. Soft music started to play, and the curtains from the ceilings started to lower down to black out the light pollution from the town. Pip closed and locked the door behind her, then turned around to see Hitch standing idle, staring into space. She started to lead the stallion to the bathroom, where more ambient lighting and music played, getting Hitch into the shower. She first undressed him in silence, taking his clothing to his closet, then undressing herself and doing the same, hanging her costume up as well as her hat next to her gold tiara. When returning to the bathroom, Hitch was sitting on the floor waiting for her patiently. He smiled when she returned, getting a giggle from her. She then took him into the shower, closing the glass door behind them, then getting to the screen on the shower wall, turning on the instant hot water of the shower head that covered the entire perimeter of the shower, covering them both in hot water. However, Pip turned her side off, as she didn't need her makeup rinsed off, just wiped with makeup remover. Instantly, Hitch started to become himself again. Pip smiled, seeing him in his relaxed state. She started to massage his mane and rub her hooves on his body to get the rest of the makeup remaining. Hitch then shifted, causing Pip to slightly slip back onto her haunches, now in a sitting position. Hitch came up to her, his body, dripping water, now towering above. He then grabbed Pip, gently putting her up against the shower's granite wall, enveloping her into another makeout session. She didn't deny it at all. She knew this aggressive behavior wasn't the alcohol talking. Once in a while, Hitch took the lead when it came to the more intimate moments of their relationship. Their intimate moments were rather normal, often playing under the covers every now and then. But Pip decided to take action now, slightly moaning into the kiss, putting her hooves on Hitch's chest. After a few more moments of the passionate kiss, her right hoof lowered down to his stomach, looking for a destination below. Pip, however, was stopped by Hitch, his hoof now grabbing hers and him breaking the kiss. He was smiling. This confused the princess.
Pip, we're way too drunk.
or at least I am, to do anything tonight. I'm not gonna accidentally take advantage of you.
Pip's heart almost melted at this. Oh, Hitch, it's you I'm worried about. I am more than willing to do anything you want tonight. And it's not like this is our first time.
Pip kissed Hitch's cheek after that statement. Anything. Pip smiled, ears drooping to give her a sexier look.
Anything,
she said in confidence. Hitch smiled. Then I only have one request. Pip nodded. Let's just cuddle tonight, okay? I don't feel comfortable doing anything with this foggy of a mind. Pip laughed a little at Hitch's cute look.
Oh, he's so adorable. Of course, sweetheart,
she replied, her right hoof now on his cheek. When they finished up, Hitch dried himself off carefully as Pip wiped her face clean with makeup remover. Getting to their bed, Hitch let Pip enter first, as he went at the tablet on the wall, shutting the entire apartment down. All lights were now off, and no music played. The soft ambient light strips above on the ceiling were barely visible, only to give looks over functionality. When turning around, he saw Pip, who spread her hooves and wings out looking for a hug, ears pinned against her head with a seductive smile to finish off her look. When Hitch entered the bed, he was met with hooves that wrapped around him, guiding him to Pip's wings. Sitting together, Hitch once again started to think about it all. Pip instantly noticed, wanting to know what was on his mind.
What's got you thinking, Hitch?
Oh, just thinking about everything is all. I'm just so happy with the way everything has gone. You know? It's almost been too perfect. I guess I'm hoping that nothing goes wrong soon. Pip's lips turned into an awe expression when hearing this, smooching Hitch's nose.
Oh, Hitch, I'm sure that if and when that happens, no matter what, we'll have each other. We'll have our friends. Even if something goes wrong with us, I know we'll get through it. I can't imagine us ever being broken apart from something that gets between us.
That last part really worried the stallion. He didn't want any of that to happen. He even swore to himself that he would do his best in his ability to prevent such a thing. He wouldn't let it happen. Unfortunately, as Pip went on, Hitch found it harder to stay awake. It wasn't that what Pip was talking about was making him bored, it was quite the opposite. He found her voice soothing. Pip took notice and stopped talking, waiting to see if Hitch fell asleep or not. She got her answer eventually. Why'd you stop? This caused her to laugh.
Good night, Hitch. Get some sleep. You're tired.
Hitch mumbled an okay and gave her a kiss on her forehead. The two eventually drifted away into sleep, as the morning approached for the next day of their relationship. They weren't worried. Not one bit. I'm still thinking about that moment where the author said that Izzy was attractive. I don't know, seems a little bit suspicious. Anywho, let's get on to our wholesome donators. Top donators are 630, BadassWaffle, Only One Thing, Ceru, Orion, and IronSky. Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel, Skies, Austin, Rolan, Stu, Hex, Swordfeather, Mordred, Omicron, Lyrae, RuneScythe, 9852, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Ridesoul, Shadowmoon, Luigi 88, Chancer Crust, Big Smoke 369, Jesse Smith, Popcat GGF, and many more awesome people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.